I had goosebumps. And then I was like, I sound so cool.
How did you even come up with that laugh?
I used that in my audition and it just came quite naturally.
Why do you think that she's so obsessed with Horizon?
It is Horizon's maternal instinct that draws Alter in. 2 character references they gave me was the Joker and... Thank you, Appy. And action! 3, 2, 1.
I forgot the word action and you're waiting for me for that.
I did it. I actioned it, but I was like, oh, I mustn't interfere with the intro. It was so well prepared. I'm like, I'll just action it.
Thank you for actioning it. Here we go now. It's so cool. It's been 6 months or so since the character was revealed to everybody. How do you feel as a Chinese speaker to play a role in a game like this where people are liking the character the way she is?
Yeah, I mean, number one, it's just been such a whirlwind because people are gonna be like, oh no, what's going on? But I'm not a gamer myself. So when I first got the role, I thought, oh no, the responsibility of doing justice for a game that is so well known, and I must admit, when it was first launched, I was a bit nervous because it has such a huge following and I absolutely loved the recording process. The team were amazing to work with. And so I wanted it. For me, it was important for the fans to enjoy it as much. So the positive feedback has been amazing. And I remember thinking, oh no, I would just very tentatively go on Twitter to just have a look, but I'm not always on social media anyway, so occasionally I'll go on and I'm like, oh my god, that's amazing. And I've seen a lot of fan art which I was blown away by. I did not anticipate anything like that. So occasionally I'll tentatively go on just to see what's going on, and then I'll be like, okay, bye. Like retreat back to my safety of not having social media. Oh, I do have social media. I think I use Instagram most, but mostly to look at puppies and food.
I can totally understand. It's the place to look at puppies. Yes. I have those feeds sometimes and I'm scrolling through, and I see a puppy, I'm like, I cannot stop myself other than clicking and seeing it. I have to see it. So yeah.
And then the worst thing, Appy, is the fact that I exchange puppy content with my friends. So when I see a cute puppy and I'm like, oh look, and then my friends do the same to me. So it feels like it's like a place to exchange food and puppy content.
Yeah, it's amazing to see how much people have loved the characters, and they have so many different lines that they like. Some people like these lines, some people like that line, and they have watched the cinematics, they watched the trailer. What was your first reaction when your trailer finally came out and when everybody got to see it? Did you go and check comments? Is that something that you were immediately onto?
I mean, not really. I think I first saw the trailer when, obviously, the lore trailer written by Jacqueline. I roughly saw like a mock-up because we went back into the studio to do just some minor tweaks. And obviously when you record a new character, so often you don't know what the character looks like. When I first joined the team, I remember they showed me some very rough sketches, and I think that was still in the stages of building her and creating her world. So, and when I recorded my first trailer for the lore trailer, again, it was just like stills, sort of like a more like a storyboarding of the idea of what the trailer looked like. So when I went back into the studio to do sort of final tweaks on a couple of the lines for the lore trailer, and I saw roughly what the final trailer was going to look like, I had goosebumps. And then I was like, I sound so cool.
That's so amazing.
And I'm like, how is it possible that like she is so much cooler than I am in real life, and yet that's my voice? And I remember just like sharing with the team. I'm like, I feel so cool right now. Like, unlike my usual dorky geeky self. I remember seeing that trailer in the booth, and it just gave me goosebumps. And it was also such a sense of achievement as well, not just for myself, but the collaborative process that is taken for the character to come alive. I was just so proud of everyone and so in awe of everyone's effort and talent and creativity, and just to be able to play a small part of it, that for me is a privilege. So
Yeah, that's awesome. It's so cool to know that you, it's always fun to know when an actor sees their character for the first time, completely built.
yeah,
It's right. You can see it fully and fledged, like it's built there. And then it's so hard to even fathom the fact that, oh, that's me. That's my voice. And they look
yeah.
so different.
Exactly. I was like, "Are you? That's me. I sound this cool," and I'm like, "Whoa, I'm a badass."
I mean, you are a badass in general anyway. Because of you, you've been able to voice such an incredible character. And the reveal trailer is just so awesome. And it's so fun to see that reveal trailer as well, because it shows how Alta is always confronting someone and they're always asking about who she is and who are you? And that's
Yeah.
always question. Who do you think she actually is?
Well, it's interesting because obviously, as when we first auditioned, when I first auditioned, so funny enough, I found, I'm not sure whether I should share it, but I'll share it with you anyway. So if we get told off, you can take it off, okay? I have with me my audition, my first ever audition recording. So I thought I'll play with you a little, like play for you a little bit of what my sort of initial imagination. But when we first get a voiceover audition, it's so secretive. It is so secretive, and I remember, we didn't even know it was under a code name. The character was not called Alter, it was called Deviant, and I just remember the two character references they gave me was the Joker,
Oh, wow. Okay.
and Villanelle from Killing Eve. Killing Eve.
Yes.
There we go. And I remember thinking about it, and I was like, I know who these people are, and for me, I'm like, these are not just people. Maybe on the surface they are unhinged, they're a bit crazy, they live on the verge of madness. But for me, I saw the character as someone who is perhaps on the fringe of society, someone who doesn't quite belong, someone who doesn't quite sit within a certain group of people, someone who doesn't certain sort of conform to what society wants, or expect oneself to be. So that was what I was sort of that was the idea that I got in my head. And I was like, okay, let's just have a play. And when you audition for a voiceover game, you don't really see a reference of the character. You just have a very brief bio of how the writers imagined it. And I literally just gone with my instinct, and just thought, okay, if that's all you have, right? As actors, that's your instinct is your biggest gift. So you just have to go with it. And sometimes I do say to myself, be wrong but strong, and then that's good. And if they don't want me, that's fine. But yeah, so I was like, I'm just gonna go for it and just have fun. And I think, and so often, I'm sure plenty of the voiceover artists you've interviewed have said the same. It's just really us in our own closet, like recording our own voices. So yeah, it was really fun. Last night, so when I was thinking about what we're going to be chatting about, I went back to my sort of first audition, and it really felt like some of the instincts I had in my first sort of recording of it was quite similar to the end product kind of thing. So yeah, I think sometimes I think being an actor, being an artist, you just have to trust your instinct and just allow yourself to go, okay, this is what I think the character is, and just go for it. And I think being an actor, we're so often afraid to make those choices because we live in a world where at times we are always worried about, what might the casting director want? What might the director be looking for? And often I think that can interfere with our own instincts. And I think not, understanding the genre, understanding the feel of the show is very important. But I think understanding that is one thing. It's not allowing those to really influence the choices that you make, or rather use that to complement the choices that you make.
Talk you off the ledge? Hi, Maya. I'm the one who put you there. Talk you off the ledge? Aww. Hi, Maya. I am the one who put you there.
It's so cool to know that the original audition idea that you even had is very similar to what ended up being, because people always ask that, like, okay, what did you thought initially? How did you audition? And want to know what the difference was from the audition time to the final product.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
And even the laugh as well, because again, it was just before Christmas 2023 that I auditioned for Apex. And so again, it's been a while, and I listened back to my first sort of audition, and the alter laugh, I used that in my audition, and I don't remember whether it was in the script for her to laugh, but it was a laugh that I brought to the character. And I it's been nice to feel like, oh, that laugh has continued into the final product, maybe a bit more evil, like we've dialed up on the sort of like evilness of it, but it's been so fun.
Oh my god, I have to know about the laugh. Like, how did you even come up with that laugh? Is there something that you fixated on, that okay, that laugh I'm gonna try to do?
No, I think when you do a laugh, you always have to laugh, right? So I think it was making myself laugh, but also understanding the fact that, with her character and staying true to the character, that when she laughs, it might not be the joyous laughter that we are used to as normal people, but for her, she finds joy in the most destructive things. So I was thinking, okay, and it just came quite naturally. Hey, maybe there's alter in me. So I feel like there's darkness in me. Appy, help me.
Oh no, it has come into you from alter, I suppose. That's it. It's so I love the evil characters. I think a lot of people love evil characters when they see one, and it's because they attach the stories very quickly. Do you even believe at this point? Because sometimes it's unbelievable for me when I see a trailer, or if I see a video about a game, especially Altered Horizon video that also came out. What is it hard for you to believe that video game storytelling is so, it has gone to that level, that it's so real in some ways and it's so captivating?
Yeah, it really is. I have to say, when I saw these trailers, the narratives, I feel like I love recording the lines for the character, but the narratives is what for me cements the character. These are the moments where I go, oh, I see where the character is going now, or oh, I see what you might have envisioned for the character moving forward. And also being an actor, we're storytellers first and foremost. So having these narrative stories that accompany the sort of the lines for the character in the gameplay, it just helps to make her into like a fully formed character.
Yeah, definitely. It's so cool just to watch every single, and I keep on watching that Alter Horizon video, because it's just so much. It's so cool. It just, I just mentioned, the storytelling, the narrative, it just touches so well. And you were mentioning that you were given the idea with the character of, okay, the Joker as inspiration. How much research did you do, or were you even able to do, to even find out, like, even, for example, the first day when you entered, was there any preparation did beforehand to go with that idea that, okay, when I go into the booth, this is what I'm going to try, or was that something that you have to do on spot on that day?
So at the audition process, it was very much an instinct thing. I think when it comes to voiceover, again, because when we do get the materials through, it's very much a project code name, maybe even a fake character name. You get a very brief bio, sometimes a little bit longer, and you might get an idea of what the game might be, a battle royale, a war game kind of thing. So, and really that's all you have. So for me, I'm quite geeky when I do voiceover. I do quite a big prep on my voice. So I'll do a good 30 to 45 minutes, sometimes an hour if I have time, vocal warm up, just to get the muscles going. So I use that process as a way to sort of get my body and my mind into the space of needing to record. And I think once I start, I sort of maybe for like each line, especially again, this is just thinking about the audition process. I would maybe do for each line, I would do like 5 takes, and I'll just have a listen, and then I'll go, okay, right. And I think as I listen to myself in the space of creating the character, I then go, okay, I think now I'm seeing her more and more. So I think it's about looking at yourself in through a critical lens, but not through criticism, but it's allowing yourself to look at your work and go, how can I make what I'm doing better, and how can I make what I'm doing more clear? So that's how I sort of work with the materials I have as a voiceover actor.
Wow, that's really cool, because I feel like there's so many people who are going into the voice acting worlds because of video games, I believe, and they want to know more about, okay, how to even get there, even with the audition. And at the same time, I also feel like what you just mentioned also works everywhere else. Like instead of seeing yourself with that criticism eyes, you just see how you can do this better and what you can do to make this better the next round you go with. So it's just
I think also being artists as well, it's so easy to be judgmental with what we do, right? We're so hard on ourselves sometimes, and I definitely am. So it's about sort of removing that initial judgment we have on ourselves and go, okay, right, judging, for example, even from a film and TV perspective, it's no point judging the fact that my eyebrows are wonky, or like I have my smiles are wonky. Do you know what I mean? It's, that's how I look, that's how I present. There's nothing I can do to change that. But what can I do to make the character better in the scenario that I've been given? What can I do to make sure that what I'm trying to say is clear? So that for me is probably most important.
Definitely. And that shows, because in this, as you mentioned, like it's a villainous character and everybody loves that. And I've seen, I think a lot of actors even say that they love playing a villain because how rich their story is, or just their character is. Do you feel the same way after playing Alter, that villains are just some amazing characters to play?
Oh my goodness, villains are so misunderstood.
True.
I don't know. Maybe I see. I always see goodness in people, but I don't always think people are bad just because they're bad. I think I remember watching Superman. Is that Superman? Captain Zod with
Man of Steel.
With Michael. Oh, what's his name? I'm the worst person with names. Michael Shannon.
Michael Shannon, yes.
Playing as a Captain Zod.
If
this is all wrong,
no, you're right. You're right.
Going,
you're
am
right.
I right?
Yes, he played Zod.
Because otherwise, you'd be like, Abby, she's got no idea what she's talking about. I remember watching Michael Shannon playing Captain Zod, and I was like, wow, like in the film, he came across as like the bad guy against, the Superman, but yet he had one singular mission. And similarly, like if we look at the Marvel world, Thanos, he destroyed the world, but he also had a bigger goal that he wanted to achieve as well. And so sometimes I see sort of villains as, they are perhaps so misunderstood, and they may have a goal that many people might not understand or agree with. But nonetheless, they believe in their cause so wholeheartedly that that's all they want to do. And is that good? Is that bad? I don't really know. But for them, their intention of wanting to achieve that goal is in a way probably quite pure, because that's all they see and that's what they want to do. And yes, we can be judgmental and go, yeah, but they ended up treating all these people badly along the way. But then at the same time, there's also something quite beautiful about a character's ability to just be so focused on what they want to achieve, and regardless of what might be in their way. So yeah, I find playing villains quite interesting, just because you can have so much room to explore what might be, what could be, what was the past. And Alta's past, she could have had all these pasts. Who knows who she really is, right? So maybe, in another universe, she's just like me, a very dorky, geeky Chinese girl who can't work the computer.
I mean, still
Let
badass
alone
to me.
traveling through the dimensions.
Not traveling through dimensions. I mean, you never know. Maybe you will travel to dimension. Maybe you'll be the one to finally figure that out. That the discovery. And
Right, Abby, because I have got such amazing technological abilities, which you've seen right here.
right. I mean, you might be hiding it and showing it to me in that way, but
I mean, definitely, I'm a very good actor.
true. I gotta say that teleportation power that she has is so cool, and there's so many powers that I wish to have. Is there any superpower that you would love to have?
Personally, as a human being?
Yeah, yeah.
Ooh, that's a good question. I think being invisible is quite cool. Could they just like go into rooms and go, "Ooh, what are you guys doing?" But that's just a bit wrong, isn't it? I'm not quite sure. Teleportation is good. It saves money on flights. Amazing.
That's
So I can
true.
go and see my mom.
Yes. Perfect. Yeah. Teleportation is the best.
Exactly. What else? I don't really know. Yeah. Invisibility is pretty cool, like I said, but maybe teleportation is more useful.
Yeah.
I mean, in this economy, flights are expensive, so
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm being very logical here.
Yeah. Yeah. Logically, I think teleportation works because if you want to go somewhere, you can just go. You don't have
Exactly.
to book and wait.
Holiday
Yeah.
in Mexico, boom, there.
Yeah.
Bye.
It's the best. Alter has so many amazing lines, as you mentioned, like you recorded lines, and there's so many different interactions with other characters. Obviously, when you are recording, you're not interacting with the voice actor at the time, but when all the gamers are playing it, they get to see that or hear that interaction. And one of the best interactions, in my opinion, is the one with Mirage, because she's having the best time with him. What do you think is that connection is between the Mirage, the character, and Alter, and like what's going on? Because she loves kind of like playing with him, and Mirage is just like very annoyed. I feel like.
Yeah, I remember. I have to say, I'm so lucky because Eric, our game director, he's ever so patient with me, because again, I don't play the game. So at times, when I say a few lines, I'll be like, Eric, what am I trying to say here? And he'll just give me the idea of like roughly what they're aiming to do. And I mean, I'm going off on a tangent now, but even with the weapons, when I'm recording, there's so many weapons and there's so many add-ons and there's so many ammos. And Eric would always try to give me a brief idea of what the weapon looks like. And I'll be like, okay, but that I'm still confused. If I'm completely honest with you, I am also, I have no idea what the relationship between Alter and Mirage. Is it bad? Am I breaking the illusion that I know everything?
No, I can totally understand,
But you know-
because it is there's a lot in the game, and it is very hard to kind of like, especially for you because you don't play games, and even if I play games and I sometimes don't remember like who has what relationship with what. It's like it's very hard unless you're
Yeah.
completely geeked out and all the time all you do is that you play
Yeah.
that game. So I can do.
I think the one relationship I was very aware of was with Horizon,
Yes.
because obviously there's so much interlinked. But yeah, and there's a part of me that I was like, oh, I would love to be like in the booth with the actress playing Horizon. That would be so amazing. And I got chatting to Johnny, who
Oh.
plays,
Crypto.
huh?
Crypto.
Yeah, there we go.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you for reminding me.
No problem. I'm here.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I'm like the worst interviewee ever for you, aren't I? Like the
Not at all.
person who doesn't remember names. But Johnny was really kind because he was one of the first people to reach out and say hello and what have you. And we were having a chat and I'm like, oh, I feel so isolated from you guys because I'm based in the UK. They're all in the States. And and I was like, and I see them doing sort of events together, and I'm like, oh, I feel so left out. Hello.
I mean,
I
one day
mean,
maybe.
exactly, the real Alter would be like, I don't give an F about it.
Yes.
But me, I'm like, hello, friends.
I really
I'm
hope that you
here,
guys.
friends. I know.
I don't know if you can say this, but I would love to know: is there anything, any line, Cantonese line that you added or you kind of like tweaked a little bit that was something that was your idea?
Do you know what? I can't think of it at the top of my head because we had so many sessions of recording. We started recording beginning of January, and I think if I remember correctly, by the time we finished sort of the first, we were recording 3 days a week, 4 hours each session. So like a good 12 hours every single week for about 5 weeks. And a lot happened during those hours. There were moments of delirium where I'm like, am I actually speaking in English? Especially when, when you're being very repetitive, like the weapons, for example. Some of the there was one that I wrote down because there was one weapon that I remember saying to Eric. I said, I just have to come back to this word because right now I don't know whether I'm speaking in English or I think it was something a stabilizer. I can't remember now. But it was one of those moments where I was like, is this English coming out of my mouth? It's certainly not Cantonese. Are these even words? And then I ended up overthinking it. And I was like, Eric, I'm so sorry. Can maybe come back to this one line that's just got like 3 words at the end of the session? So yeah, I don't know what I went off on a tangent again, but there were many hours of just us playing and I think this is what I enjoy the most in the booth as well. And sometimes I'll see a line and I'm like, like I'll get really excited about it. And I'm like, oh, let me give it a go. And then I would like go straight into like giving them like a few options. And then Eric would be like, oh, that was really good. I didn't think about it like that, but that was a really cool interpretation. Can we play on that? So again, just giving Apex is definitely one of the most collaborative process I've ever been inside a VO booth, and I felt like I grew as a voiceover artist whilst working on the game, just because being in a space where you are given the freedom to play, to just not be afraid to make mistakes. I think that's really important for any artists, but also to know, okay, I got this idea. Let me give it a try. And if it doesn't work, there's no issue whatsoever. But if it works, they will be like, oh my God, that was really good. Let's try this. Let's extend this. Let's push it further. And I think I felt like I improved a lot as an artist whilst working on the game because of the freedom that I was given to play, because of the team that I was working with, because how open the team was. So yeah, they really are the best. Like it's gonna be one of those jobs that I will always remember.
Wow, that's so cool. It's lovely to know that there's so much collaboration happening here. And it shows again as like when we see when a player or us like people when we're playing the games, when they see everything that you guys have built together, it just shows like it's so natural in some ways. So it's everything just flows together so well. The character interactions and all the lines and everything just flows so well. And the biggest focus of Alter has always been this relationship with Horizon and what she has. Very obsessed with her. Why do you think that she's so obsessed with Horizon? I know you cannot really per se exactly share something, but what do you think is happening around her?
I don't know. It's funny because so often I don't know the progression of the story until I'm in the booth because everything is so secretive. But when I saw that trailer with Horizon and Alter, and the trailer where it started with Horizon singing.
Yes. Yeah.
And that was the moment where I was like, oh, I wonder whether there is any possibility that it is Horizon's maternal instinct that draws Alter in, because Alter is a loner. She has probably traveled through the dimensions and the universe by herself for many years without roots, without friends, without family. Not that she craved them, but I feel like she's probably learned to be very good by herself. And I wonder, again, this is just me guessing, and I wonder whether Horizon's maternal instinct, her deep desire to reunite with her son, that motherly love that she has, is something that Alter maybe secretly crave as well. I don't know. So yeah, I mean it's all up to the game makers, but I was definitely intrigued. Like why? Like you said, why of all the characters, why Horizon, right? Is it something to do with her son? Is it something to do with Horizon as a person? Obviously Horizon is an amazing amazing character, but at the same time I feel like for Alter to be so obsessed with someone, there has to be an other level. She can't just be awesome at being a legend. She's also awesome at other stuff as well.
Yeah, definitely.
So
And
anyway, personal fan theory.
love that. I love that. There's a lot of fan theories, to be honest, like around the internet.
Really?
Yeah, lots of them. And I know one of them I really loved. And I don't know how true it is, but one of them
Tell
was
me.
like how Alter is in some ways Horizon's daughter. And in all the universes she traveled, Horizon has been a villain. And that's why she says to Horizon that she is going to talk or show, or like she was talking about her destructive side, saying to Horizon about the destructive side. And that's what one of them, a few people had that theory. So I was like, wow.
Hey, it's not too dissimilar to my sort of instinct as well.
Yeah.
So
Who knows?
ooh.
Yeah.
Hint to the Apex team. Hint. So I just wanted to add to that, but it's also like from my perspective, way more than a video game as well, because I feel like it's so well thought out. The teams who created who created the character, who created the background for the character. It feels like it's more than just. I'm not saying just a video game. It feels like the character has a life. And I think that's what is special about the character. And it feels like, if you take her out of the world of Apex, you can sort of put her in any sort of random alternate universe and she can exist there too. So yeah.
Definitely. And as I mentioned, like it is a video game, and a lot of people had this question asked. It's like, have you played the game yourself, or are you into playing games at all? Have you ever played any of the games?
So I haven't played Apex. I think there's a reason. I'm really uncoordinated on in the game. Like there's for some reason I know it's just a keyboard in front of me, but for some reason when I want them to go left, they go right, and when I want them to go forward, they go sideways. So and funny enough, my friend was trying to get me onto Twitch. Twitch, is that correct?
Yes.
And just like, oh, you should play on Twitch, and I'm like, what do you mean by play on Twitch? I'll just die on Twitch. Like there'll be no playing. It'll just be stepping onto the arena, get shots, dead kind of thing. So yes. But I do play games. A lot of the games I do play are like sort of strategy. So I've recently gotten into playing board games, but they're also like escape room type board games. Like Unlock. For example, I was recently, there's a lovely board game shop in Vancouver, and one of the guys who worked there, his name is Steven, we ended up having a huge chat about games, and he was so passionate, and I told him being quite new to the board game world, and he introduced me to this new board game called Initiative, and I'm like, oh no, now I feel like I need to buy it. So anyway, that sort of goes off the video gaming world. But yes, I've sort of tentatively, and also on my game as well, sometimes I play these sort of strategy. It's always murder related. Maybe I am Alter.
Maybe. I mean, you
Solve
said
a
it.
crime,
Yeah.
solve a murder mystery.
I love the murder mystery stuff as well. It's just
Okay,
somehow it
good.
draws me in, and I'm watching it as well. I'm like, what am I doing? And I'm telling this to my mom or my
Exactly.
sisters. My mom was like, what? Why are you watching some
Should we be
murder
worried
mystery?
about you too? Should we be worried about you too, Happy?
Maybe.
Like, why do you think you're drawn to like murder mysteries?
I don't know. I don't know. That's too good.
To
Uh,
live the darkness within us.
to live to live the darkness within us. Yes, definitely. I would love to know, is there any video game that you were ever like you ever played, like, when you were younger, or is there something that comes to mind when you like hear the word video game, that okay, that game
I mean,
I played once?
obviously GTA when I was younger,
Oh, wow.
uh, uh, but again, the whole translation of me not being able to control the controller very well, like it'll be crashing into things, and and getting caught very easily. So yeah, I know obviously growing up, I feel like everyone played Mario, Super Mario.
Yes.
It's probably giving away my age now, but yeah, everyone plays Super Mario. So and sometimes I'm like, no, why isn't Super Mario on our phones? That'd be so cool. It'd be so nostalgic.
Yes.
But I left home at such a young age. I left home when I was 11. I went to the UK to study ballet, and I was in a boarding school, so things in a boarding school was quite strict. So I wasn't exposed to games. We didn't even really have a television. We had one television in like the common room, but our schedules were so tight that we never really have chance to. It would be like I'll wake up early, the first class would be ballet, and then we'll go into maths, and I'll go into and then go into another dance class, and so every day was very much filled to the brim. So I didn't have any video games. I didn't also have the space to have my own device or be able to have my own device, and it also wasn't allowed. But yeah, I it's something that I have been playing. I was playing LA Noir. I got a very old copy of LA Noir.
Wow. That's
Um, so I was playing that, but again, for me, it's like it's always very slow, because yeah, when I'm trying to run away from people, I used to run into a wall and then not be able to get out from that wall. I know this is a banned game. I'd also tried to play Manhunt for a little bit as well, just to get an idea of like, again, like my control, like it's awful. Like, so I'll just stay behind the mic instead of attempting to play it. At least I give the illusion that I'm cool. But when in the true playing of the world, I am so uncool and uncoordinated.
But yeah, you were mentioning about your earlier life, and I feel like Alter also has something, that similarity thing, where she has been living her life, and her life has changed over the years because she has been moving, traveling to different universes, using her teleportation to do whatever things, and we get to see that in trailer where she's trying to tell everybody who she is and all that. How much of your life has changed, as you mentioned, from being a ballet dancer to now being an actor?
Well, it's definitely a lot. Sometimes I never imagined I would act, if I'm completely honest. When I was training to be a dancer in the UK, and they have this phrase, they always say, you need to become a triple threat. A triple threat is to be able to act, dance, and sing. So it was always to be, the goal to be able to do all that. But when I was in school, when I first arrived in the UK, I didn't speak a word of English. So acting wasn't anywhere near the forefront of my mind. I never thought that was going to be possible. And I remember sort of dabbling in drama when I was studying dance, and I was surrounded by a lot of, I don't want to say naysayers, but people who kind of thought that just because I have an accent, just because I don't sound British, just because or traditionally British, but or don't have received pronunciation, that perhaps acting was not for me. And it wasn't until like later on during my time at the school, we had a new drama teacher. His name is Jeffrey Swan. I don't know whether he's ever gonna hear this podcast, but he was instrumental for me to just have a play. And I remember going to his drama class because we had to, and it was around the time where I already thought acting wasn't for me because plenty of people have already told me that, I shouldn't really act. And I sort of accepted it. And I think when you're a kid, it's so easy to destroy a kid's belief in themselves because when you're young, you're so easily influenced, right? So I just assumed that because I am who I am, I would never act. And then Mr. Swan, I still call him Mr. Swan, would just say, "Hey, Crystal, just come to a class, just play, just have fun." And then, for some reason, I really enjoyed his class, and it was so different to the drama classes I've been to before. And then I ended up being in his plays, and then I ended up being in plays in the local theater. And funny enough, even after that, I still didn't think I was ever going to act, because I think there's a huge transition from being a dancer into an actor. As a dancer, every expression is through your body. You don't talk. We don't talk. We just receive corrections. Straighten your knees, point your toes, lengthen your back, and 5, 6, 7, 8, and on 7 you do that. So you respond with your bodies. But as an actor, you have to be able to respond verbally, and the mindset it took to change my ability to express physically to verbally was actually quite a massive shift, and to also discover my voice as well. And it sounds very silly because we all have a voice, but when you are training within an institution where so much of what you are is through your physical expression and not your vocal expression, finding your voice, expressing your voice, giving people the chance to hear what you have to say, it's a really huge hurdle. And so for me, it wasn't just about moving into acting, it was also about trusting my voice, trusting what is coming out of my voice, and also coming to terms with accepting who I am as a person. It took me many years, but because I remember when I was younger, I grew up in a very sort of British environment. I was the only Chinese girl in my school. So already I was sticking out like a sore thumb most of the time. So, and when you're young, all you wanted to do was blend in. You don't want to stick out, but there's not sticking out, right? Like, let's be honest, I already look different. But I think as I've gotten older, it's learning to accept who you are and embrace everything that people might think is a flaw, but actually it's what makes you you. And so what makes me me is the fact that I am both proud Chinese and proud to be British. I speak fluent Cantonese and I speak fluent British English. Sometimes I get confused when I'm tired. Let's be honest, things. But then I look at that. That's exactly what led me to Alter, because she is also a person that is neither this nor that. She is a combination of every single experience that she's ever had to have to endure. And I feel like maybe have I not had the experiences I've had, to understand what it means to straddle between cultures, straddle between languages, straddle between beliefs, I feel like maybe Alter wouldn't have come so naturally to me, because I feel like she herself is also someone who straddles between different beliefs and cultures and ideas and ideologies. So yeah, so maybe life in itself, it's that beautiful thing where it comes full circle, and I feel like sometimes when I land a project, it is wonderful because it reaffirms everything that you've been through, and you go, oh yeah, there were jobs that I really wanted but I didn't get, and not getting those jobs made me feel very small. But then now looking back, there's also a reason why you didn't get those jobs, because there are other jobs out there or other roles out there that are so much more, that resonates so much more. So yeah, I hope that answers your question.
Oh, absolutely. I love hearing that, because there's so much that I feel like what you just said is going to help so many people who are going to listen to it. The fact that it's okay to kind of like slowly trust yourself on who you are and what you are, and just go with the process. It's just lovely, because it also helps me to understand, like, okay, you know what, I'm gonna trust even more, and it's just lovely. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
It's a great story.
Oh,
I
thank you.
appreciate that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think creatives, it's a really hard space for us to be in because there's already a lot of self-doubt and self-judgment already. And on top of that, you've got everything around you that perhaps is there trying to persuade you not to do what you should do, what you want to do.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to navigate that, and how do you keep on trusting yourself when that external forces at times almost tell you otherwise. So yeah, I think everything is a slow learning progress, and I think sometimes if you feel like it's there, it's almost, I think being creative is like an itch. Nothing compares. Nothing makes me feel more alive than being on set, than being in a booth working with amazing people. I'm very pedantic when I'm filming. Similar to me doing voiceover, I do like a good hour, like half an hour vocal warm up. When I'm filming, I'm the same. I wake up at least an hour and a half, if not 2 hours, prior to my pickup time. So, for example, tomorrow I'm filming. I think my pickup time is 4:20. I will probably be up at maybe like two-ish, or maybe giving just be a bit more relaxed, maybe half two. But for me, it's about preparing myself mentally for that space as well, and also just to give myself that moment to go, okay, this is my time to do something that I love. So it's almost like setting myself and giving myself that space to go, okay, everything else doesn't matter. All the noise that we have around us for this moment, for this day, doesn't matter because I am here and I'm doing what I'm going to be doing, and it's going to be awesome. It might be long, it might be tiring, but nonetheless, there's nothing better than going home feeling super tired because you've done a good day's work.
Yeah. Oh, that's so cool. What you just said just energized me. I'm like, yes, just all of that. Yeah.
Good.
And I think the way that you have played this character in such a great way, in such an exciting way, and people really believe, like, and I've seen so many people say that, oh, she has done such a great job playing Alter, and that's why there's so many people. There's a few people who want to ask some questions. There's some fan questions.
Wonderful.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
of course.
the first question is from Shaq. They ask, is it fun playing a character who's slightly unhinged? And does that madness bleed through into your life?
I feel like definitely. Hi, Shaq, first and foremost. I feel like to be an artist, we're all slightly unhinged.
True.
To be a creative is all slightly unhinged. For me, I see playing Alter and exploring that madness as a massive release as well, because it's something so freeing to actually just be a character who doesn't care about anyone else. She doesn't care about what anyone says about her. She doesn't care if you like her or not. How amazing is that? Because, we often go around the world worrying whether we are liked, worrying whether we're doing a good job. But Alter doesn't give a F about any of that. So how amazing is that? And I feel like since playing Alter, at times I've been like, be more Alter. Like, forget about what the naysayers say. Like, you just have to do what is right. And yeah, so that madness probably has translated in a positive manner.
Amazing. Yes, everybody should be Alter. I mean, yeah, it's in the positive
Yes,
way.
be more Alter. Print it on a t-shirt. TM.
Oh, yeah. Perfect. That's great. The next question comes from Luke. They ask, how many takes do lines normally take for you to get it right?
So it's not about getting it right. It's about playing with it. So in the booth, what we always do is when we start a line, we'll always give ABC, like do a pass of 3, and then we play on it. So let's say the pass of 3, sometimes they're good, but then maybe then Eric or the writers and Jacqueline and Amanda would come on and go, oh, maybe try it like that. Or within those passes, they'll go, oh wow, that's really cool, we never thought about it like that, let's go with it. So sometimes you can do a pass of 12, sometimes you can do a pass of 6, but I don't see it as how many takes. It's not about getting it right for me. It's about exploring the world in which, because ultimately when you're an actor, these are just lines on a paper. How do you bring those lines to life? And so for me, it's not about getting it right. It's about how can we create this world? In what way can we make this line even more suitable into the world? Can we play with it this way? And also giving the lines options. I'm sure in the game playing of it, even when I'm saying reload ammo or whatever, you probably hear different versions of it. Because how boring would it be if you're just hearing me repeat the same line and again in the same manner? So for them, I think it's always useful for them to also have a bank of different variations to insert into the game. So yeah, so this is how I see it.
The next one is from Sino. They ask, besides Horizon, what other character do you think she would be genuinely getting along? Alter would be genuinely getting along with?
Oh, I don't know. Who's another mean badass that is not afraid to take Alter on?
But I think one of the things that people were always asking about is her interaction with this character called Revenant, who is very
Yes.
villainous, very mysterious kind of character, which was not there per se. So I think Revenant would probably be that character where people would. I mean, you guys.
Yeah, I remember sort of saying a lot of things to Revenant, saying a lot of things, so unspecific, right? Who knows, right? It would be wonderful to explore more interactions with the other players, because having been introduced into the Apex family, I am just in awe with the work of all the other voiceover artists on the game. So not just from a character perspective, from any opportunity to be able to play with them, record with them, learn from them, that would just be awesome. So yeah, I would be like, anyone please.
Oh, that's perfect. Love to see that. Next question is from Gordon. They ask, how did you first get into voice acting, and what would be your advice for someone who wants to start doing it?
So I think it's understanding the fact that, number one, voice acting, it's a skill. So your voice is a muscle. It's not something that early on I mentioned about going into the booth and I do a big vocal warm up. It's remembering the fact that, yes, there's a fun element of creating the character, but also ultimately your voice, your vocal cords, that's your instrument, and you have to really work with it. You have to really train it. You have to ensure that you protect it, because when you think about it, I was recording 3 sessions a week, so 4 hours per session, and some of them can be quite intense, so how do you ensure that your vocal you can sustain, you have that stamina to sustain all these vocal sessions? So number one, I would say that maybe getting vocal lessons is really good to just start training those muscles, to start understanding how the instrument works. Recently I recorded a war game, and it was perhaps the fact that I hadn't done a war game for a while. Maybe I just flown. I was away, and I came straight back, and I walked into the booth, and perhaps again I hadn't anticipated this shit, because again, you walk into a game, you don't really know what you're going to do until you get there. And I remember I had a 4-hour sessions on this war game, and by the end of it, I had almost lost my voice, because there was so much high projections. So I think so this is what I mean. I think number one, you have to really ensure that you understand your voice as an instrument and really give yourselves the space to train. And then moving forward, it's about maybe joining into communities so that you can start learning from. I think there are a lot of panels out there that offer advice for people who are new to the voice acting world. So I think those would be a really good way of going about it. And then perhaps once you feel like you're more skilled, then getting a voice reel, it's useful too. But I think a voice reel is one of those things where it's good to perhaps have someone to guide you through it, because you might imagine your voice to be one thing, but actually someone hearing your voice might see something completely different. So it's, I think, being in a space where you're open to other people's contributions, and knowing the fact that, oh, what do you think? I sort of see myself as this. Do you agree with it? And so I would say sort of see it as like, yes, lovely, to be able to record in the booth, but see it as, there's still a lot of work. It's an athlete. You're an athlete, but accept that these are your muscles. So training, being in a space where you're learning from other people, and ultimately maybe getting people who can help you create a voice reel. So I would say that would be like my first 3 steps.
Next question comes from Omega,
Okay.
and this is a fun one, I think so. Alter according to that person, Alter reminds him of a lot of Jinx from Arcane series. So do
Okay.
you think that those 2 characters, Jinx and Alter, would get along?
I don't think I can answer that question because I'm not familiar with the other character.
It's okay. I can totally understand that. And Jinx is in some ways, very unhinged, and it's actually very
Okay.
based on a video game. Actually, based on a video game with 2 characters, and they just expanded the kind of worlds. And basic thing is just 2 sisters, and one of the sisters just gets a little unhinged and just completely changes
That's
herself.
they've got a new series on Netflix, right?
Yeah,
Is
yeah.
that is
They
that
got the
yeah.
2nd season that came out
Yeah.
very recently.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, and
Yeah.
that series is so popular, and that's why this person made a kind of connection, because both are unhinged characters.
Yeah. I think for me as well, being a voiceover actor, there's freedom in. I think there's often people go, "Oh, are you a fan of the game?" Of course I am, of course, but I also feel like there's freedom in knowing just enough. Because I think when I went into recording the game, and obviously when it came to my first session, by then I already knew about Apex Legends. But because I didn't know the game, I didn't play the game, I didn't have any preconceived ideas as to what I think the character should be. And I think I gave myself the ability, I gave myself the room to just play and learn and take in notes from the directors and the writing team, and just really allow myself to use my imagination. And I find that's very freeing at times. And perhaps maybe some people will go, oh, but you're not you didn't play the games. And I do get it. I think if I had played the game, maybe things would be different. But I also feel like not knowing the game offers a lot of freedom, because I can just live in my imagination and just play and just see the character in that moment, and see those lines and go, what would the character do in that moment, and not be affected with, oh, let's, for example, like early on you said, the relationship with Mirage. I don't know much about Mirage characters. Obviously I'm aware of the interactions they've had, but there's so much freedom to go, I'm just gonna boss you about, or I'm just gonna like take you down, kind of thing, and not be worried about the world in which I have to then cement my character in. And I know that in the booth, if I go completely off the chart, the directors will go, whoa, 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 Crystal, calm down, So yeah, I think there's definitely a lot of freedom in just knowing enough, but giving yourself the space to play and explore.
Yeah. And I think Alter she's very new to the world anyway. So I think it kind of works, at the same time, because she, in some ways, probably does not know what's happening in this world of Apex. So it sort of works as well that, okay, she doesn't know. Players also are seeing her for the first time. So it kind of works at the same time. So even though you don't know, I think it works for the best.
Good.
Yes.
Thanks for saving my butt, Appy.
Well, there's one last question from this person by the name Bio. They ask, do you have anything common with Alter?
I think the fact that, early on when we talked about, when I saw the references to Alter, and it was the Joker and Villanelle. And I said, so it's not just the fact that they were mad and hinged, unpredictable, the fact that they live very much on the fringe. And I think it goes back to that, the fact that I am neither this nor that. I'm both and I'm an embodiment of every culture I've been part of, every language I'm able to speak, and so maybe that I sort of and because of that, sometimes I don't quite fit within a very specific model of society. You know, like this is what you need to be British, and this is what you need to be specifically this group of people. So maybe this is why I found Alter so refreshing to play, because she just isn't afraid to be her own self. And I suppose maybe that's something that I want to be or try to be. And perhaps playing Alter has given me the confidence to even push that further, and not feeling like I have to adhere to a specific societal model, adhere to a specific tradition, which I think sometimes is very difficult to like move away from.
Yeah, definitely. That's so cool. That's lovely to know. And I just want to say at the very end, thank you so much, Crystal, for joining, for talking about everything Apex Legends. It was so cool to know all of it, the process and everything behind the scenes as well. Thank you so much for doing this. I appreciate that.
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you everyone for listening.